formally introduce Jennifer. Jennifer Gaynor-Yaker is a certified dating, relationship, and life coach. She is certified at the mastery level of NLP, EFT, and hypnosis. Jennifer works with conscious, successful singles who are tired of the dating treadmill, I know I am, and frustrated with struggling to find the partner. She helps them easily, keyword underline, easily attract an amazing partner who will love them for who they are. Jennifer lives in Los Angeles, as I like to say, with her husband, Richard. Together, they own and run Conscious Life Coaching and Conscious Dating and Relating. You can learn more about their practice and get your free 7 steps to manifesting your beloved at www.consciousdatingandrelating.com. And I'm going to be giving that to you again. It's going to be in the comments over here at our YouTube show. So please help me welcome Miss Jen.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you, the person who married me. This is so exciting, Deborah. Everything's coming full circle. It's amazing. I love the synchronicity.
It really is coming full circle, and I live my life in synchronicity. I just started periscoping, and I do the scope every day, 11:11, and it's all about synchronicity, stopping at 11:11 to align with the divine. And I think you should tell the story how we unofficially met. You know, this is the official introduction, but I'd love for you to tell the story of how we connected.
Well, I don't know. I'm hoping it's the same story. I was going to say that I always have a lot of synchronicity in my life, but when I'm around you, man, it just amplifies. The first time I met you was at Agape, and you did a workshop, and I felt drawn to the workshop. And I remember that I was trying to decide between going to the workshop, and let me know if I'm being too loud, because I feel like I'm blasting the microphone here. But I remember I was trying to decide between going to the workshop and going salsa dancing, and then I just said, well, I for some reason I feel like I'm supposed to be at this workshop, so I'm going to go to this workshop tonight. And halfway through the workshop, you had everybody stand up, and you're like, okay, we're going to salsa dance. And I just started laughing because I was like, it was like, of course, yeah. That's why I felt drawn to it, because the universe knew that I was going to get to come to the workshop and salsa dance by coming to your workshop. So it was a really fun. You know, instantly I just felt so connected to you and at ease with that. And then I remember at the end of the workshop, you were giving away your, it was a CD. I think it was the Synergy or the Adrenaline one of your giveaways. And as soon as you said, I'm going to do a drawing, I was like, I'm going to win. I just knew it. I was like, I'm going to win. And then you called my name. And so that was the first time that we met. And then I think I started coming to your groups. Is that the same story that you were thinking of, or are you thinking of it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, it was so much fun. I just remember just thinking how fun it was. And it was just a great experience too, that I was provided with everything that I needed and wanted that night. So.
Yeah, and I'm just so grateful to have you as a friend, as a sister in my life. And like she said at the beginning, I officiated her wedding. One of the things I do besides consulting and speaking and training is I marry people. I know it sounds crazy. And she had come to my Jen came to my vision board play shop. And I want to give you this background because there's a lot of relationship experts that aren't in relationships. So I'm here to tell you that Jen I think it's a really important point. It's like going to a financial consultant that doesn't know how to knows how to invest money, but doesn't have money for themselves. You really want to go for someone that walks the talk, that breathes it. And that's why I really identify with you so much. And because you and Rich are both the law of attraction practitioners. So Jen came to my vision board play shop, and she was, one of her intentions was manifesting her soulmate, right? And
oh yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And she was telling me that she put my business card on her vision board, and her boyfriend, was it your boyfriend at the time, not fiance, asked her, why is Deborah on the board?
Yeah, he was, so what happened was we had done the vision board, and also you and I had done some private sessions, and we had that one really amazing one where I felt like I had a spiritual awakening, and you said, I want to marry you one day. And I said, okay. And so when I came to your workshop, I put your card on my board after the workshop. And Rich and I were living together, but we weren't engaged yet. And I had on that board an engagement ring, and your picture. And he walks into my office and he says, why is Deborah Deras on your vision board? And also, I don't know if you know this, but when Rich and I met and he Facebook friended me, you were our one friend in common. You were like, I was like, oh, well, that's convenient since she's on my vision board. And I didn't think about that at that moment. I'd kind of forgotten that I'd put it there, but I thought, well, that's great because I love Deborah. And he told me he knew you. And then what happened was after I put my vision board up in my office, when we moved in together, he walks into my office and he said, why is Deborah Deras' business card on your vision board? And he says, do you want her to marry us? Because, Rich, he's super intuitive as well. And I was, at this point, I was committed to being authentic and letting that sort for who was right for me. But at the same time, I read all those dating books that were like, don't let a guy know you want to marry him. You'll scare him off, So I was a little like, oh, no, he knows. I felt like he caught me, kind of.
Oh.
But I was like, I got to tell the truth. So I just looked up at him and I said, yes. And he goes, oh, okay. And he walks out of my office like I said I wanted a cup of coffee. It was great. He was like, oh, okay. And that's how we decided you were going to be our wedding officiant.
I get so many chills. I mean, you could tell me the story every time, and it's kind of amazing to think that him and I were your only one friend, because there's some people on Facebook I have like 250 friends with, and we know a lot of the same people. So that is about synchronicity. And I remember when I first met you that you were doing Pilates type coaching, and I'm just really interested, and I'm sure everyone is interested in how you evolved and became committed and dedicated. I love what it says in your bio about helping people easily attract a partner to love who they are. Because oftentimes I think a lot of us single people out there, I'll speak for them, we feel frustrated and we almost feel like we have to settle because we're like, well, if someone's not going to be able to accept me for this, maybe I need to tone it down, or maybe I need to tone it up, or it seems like a lot of the books out there about changing you. How did you come into being a relationship coach, and what is your philosophy? If you can go into a little deeper on that.
Sure. Thanks for asking. So first of all, I have to say, if you had told me even 7 years ago that I would end up as a relationship coach, I would have never believed you, because I was a mess in relationships. I mean, I was the poster child for stress and anxiety in dating. I mean, I dated for 20 years prior to my husband, and I had some, nice times in relationships, but there was so much in between time.
Really? 20 years?
Yeah, I started dating when I was 15, and I didn't meet Rich till I was 35. And when I met him, it was such a different experience. I know that you've gone to some workshops with relationship coaches that I've gone to workshops, and one of them had said that when you meet your soulmate, everything's different. When you meet your soulmate, it's easy. It doesn't feel like pulling teeth. You don't have to wonder if they want to be with you. You don't have to change who you are. And so I had decided I wanted to believe that. I chose to believe that. I chose that was what I wanted to manifest. So I just, because we can change, as you know well, we can change our beliefs, just because we were programmed a certain way when we were younger and we picked up certain beliefs from our family and from society doesn't mean that we're stuck with them, right? So if we have a belief that's not serving us or in alignment with what we want, for example, if we don't believe that, some people will be faithful or that people will love us for who we are, then that might be something we want to work on really looking at if that's really true or not, if that always has to be true. Anyway, so going back to what I was saying about why I became a coach, because the reason I became a coach was it was such a profound transformation that I went through, where I came from to where I am now, like what my relationships used to be like to what I live my day-to-day relationship, home life is like now is night and day. I mean, Deborah, it's so different. It's not even on the same planet. It's like, Pluto and something in another galaxy, right? It's not even on the same planet. I mean, it was just such a difference of existence. And I thought, wow. And I was definitely one of those people who thought there was something wrong with me. I was, had definitely had times where I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to find the right person. And I had a lot of lonely nights and a lot of frustration going on date after date and wondering like, God, why can't I just meet my person, and feeling lonely. And then to be able to be in a relationship that works so well, and is on such a different level, and where we're really acting as a team, I thought, man, if I can do this, anybody can. Because I was a mess. I mean, it was just a complete transformation. And I thought, and by the way, I didn't start out as a relationship coach because I was thinking with my head instead of feeling with my heart, right? I started out as a weight loss coach because, as you mentioned, I had a history with the fitness industry. And so logic told me that I should be a weight loss coach. But whenever I would try to start a workshop or something, nobody would show up. I mean, I'd have like 3 people. And I'm like, so then I was like, okay, so this logic thing isn't working. So I did what I'm sure you do often, which is I sat and I meditated. And I just asked Spirit and I said, I don't understand this. I got this training. I've got this determination. And, I really want to help people transform at a deep level. And I said, why isn't this weight loss coaching thing taking off? I've already helped people lose weight. And the answer I heard from Spirit was, because you don't want to be a weight loss coach, you want to be a love coach. And my first reaction was, that's insanely nuts, because who's going to believe me? This is not my background. I haven't been doing this. My ego just went nuts. Like, oh yeah, who are you? Who do you think you are? The way the ego can sound. And, but I was willing to just keep feeling into that. And I could feel that there was it just felt right. I can't really explain it. It just felt like, wow, that would be the most amazing thing to help people find what I have, to help people go through that transformation of, feeling stressed and frustrated and anxious about dating, to finding someone who really compliments them and loves them for who they are, that they can create a really good partnership with. And I'm also really passionate about helping people create what we would consider to be a soulmate type relationship for 2 reasons. Number one is that I know that when you're in that type of relationship, it's different than other types of relationships in the sense that it's going to impact not just your love life, but your whole life. I couldn't be where I'm at with my business today. It would not have grown as fast as it has had I not had Rich as a partner. He is my complement. He is my partner in crime. He balances me. He supports me. We have opposite skills, and we work really well together as a team. We still probably might have gotten where we're going, but not nearly as fast, and it wouldn't have been as fun. So that's the first reason I'm really passionate. Go ahead. You sound like you want to say something.
Yeah, like the power of, there's so many things I want to say. And one of the things I want everyone to listen and pay attention during this whole interview, because Jen is coaching you right now as she's speaking, is the languaging that she's using, right? So when you said, I became open to the possibility, because many people on this call may be wanting to go through a career transition as well as a relationship transition, right? And they may be doubting, because that ego that's not our amigo or enemigo, right? That jerky ego that's always going to say, well, what if this and what if that? It's not the voice of reason. That, like you said, it's listening from our heart. And if it feels expansive and light, then it's for you. And I think that's a really important point that, that you just said, oh, this is what I did, but it's really profound for people that are not doing that, and trusting that you trusted that, hey, maybe you didn't have the years of experience, but you had 20 years of experience of being single. I had actually a lot of experience, and that clarity through contrast of that when you shifted and the work that you did, I want to hear about that everything in your life, not just the relationship shifted, but your business, your career, I'm sure your prosperity, your wealth, your quality of life, that everything seemed to have expanded. And it's just, it seems like a simple pivot, but I know that it was a profound inner shift that was from your meditation, from your inner work.
Yeah, it was all, I had been doing the external acts of dating for 20 years. And just to give you a little bit of background on that, in my 20s, I had a job in marketing for 3 years. And I've had, I was an actor, so I'd have these sales jobs on and off. And as you know, one of the sayings in marketing, whether you believe it or not, is it's a numbers game. So when online dating started to not be taboo and weird, and I decided to give that a go, I approached it the way I would have approached sales. I thought, well, if I put myself up on 3 sites and I write a really good profile and I just go out with enough guys, eventually, like odds, I'll hit the lottery. eventually I've got the roulette wheel has to land on me. Well, here I am. I've been dating 7 years later, and probably 100. I don't even know how many dates I went on. I don't really care to recount that, honestly, but it's more than 100, let's say. It's definitely more than 100. So I've gone on all these dates, met some great guys, but nothing's connecting, and I'm sort of stuck in this pattern, and I'm like, what gives? And I knew that I had to try something different. I knew that if I kept doing the same thing, I was going to keep getting the same results. As you know, the saying goes, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. So what I actually did at that point was I actually stopped dating. I actually took a dating hiatus, because I decided to go within and figure out, why do I keep attracting the same pattern over and over and over again? And the last one hurt enough. It hurt enough that I was willing to get past my hard, stubborn head and just really explore what was going on within and find out what was creating that pattern. And it was the best thing I ever did, Deborah. It changed my whole life. It was the best thing that I ever did for myself.
And how long was that hiatus?
It was about 6 months. It was about 6 months, and I was working with about 5 different healers and coaches, one of whom was you. So yeah, I was working, I was just really working it. I was reading books. I was, doing EFT sessions. I was doing NLP. I was receiving hypnosis. I was just really dedicated to changing the pattern, because I just didn't have the strength in me to go back out and experience the same thing. I just didn't have it in me.
So, and I think that is so important, and that's why you're such an amazing coach and an amazing relationship coach for those out there that really want sustainable results. It's like somebody could go to a trainer and they could make your body look good for a limited time only, but if you're not eating the right foods and doing the inner work with your body, you're just going to gain back the weight. It's like, that's why your focus and what's different about the work you do is that you're changing beliefs, patterns, themes, all the things that NLP and EFT work on that are really at the subconscious level, and that many people listening don't know that they even have it. It may be so deeply rooted down, but you as a coach can see their blind spots and guide them through specific processes to release it.
Exactly. That's exactly it, Deborah. And I've even given them a name because I talk about it so much. I call them hidden love blocks. They're hidden blocks that people have, and as you said, in their subconscious mind that are sabotaging their efforts. And it doesn't matter how hardworking they are. It doesn't matter how good natured they are. And I always tell people
they are, because I know people think, if I get 10 pounds, I've heard people say that they'll get the love of their life. It's just the 10 pounds, right?
Right. And what's funny about that, one thing I'd like to share with people about that is I was at the heaviest I'd ever been when I met Rich. I was at one of my heaviest weights, and he was unemployed. He was at his he wasn't at his rock bottom, but he wasn't at the top of his game. But we just had an inner knowing that we would work together. And since then, I've gotten healthier. He's, gotten a great, he coaches part-time. Andy has a great tech job that he, provided us a nice foundation for a wonderful life. And so there's been all these wonderful things that have happened. But I love what you're talking about now, because the one thing I want to tell you that every single person that walks into my office has some version of, and I know you've heard this term before, some version of the fatal flaw. Some version of, I'm not ready for a relationship, or I'm not quite lovable all the way as I am because of X, because of my scar, because of my weight, because of my age, because of where I'm at in my career, because I'm where I'm at in my finances. And, we all have different priorities at times, but usually those aren't the reasons that they're not attracting the love of their life. The reason they think it is not the reason that I see that it usually is. And usually when they kind of can accept that and then really work on what's actually standing in the way, they can get very quick results.
So what they think it is, it isn't, because of these hidden love blocks. Can you talk a little bit about the hidden love blocks? Are there anything?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I worked with one amazing woman recently. She was amazing because she was so open and willing to do the work. And she came in, and, there's some themes. She just uncovered one of them was that she didn't feel, there was a part of her that didn't believe she was lovable. They just didn't believe it. you know, maybe a part of her did, but this other part of her is like, you're not lovable as you are. You're just not lovable as you are. And so we really worked on reframing that for her, and I really encouraged her to accept herself exactly as is. And what happened after that is when she came to me, she hadn't been on a date in months. For her, it was 8 months, which is a long time for her. And she was just kind of stuck in this rut. And what happened was that after we did that, and we had a couple other coaching sessions on a couple other topics, she became a complete man magnet. In fact, she sent me a text one day. Actually, no, we were coaching, and she says, oh my gosh, men are coming out of the woodworks. They're like flocking to me. In fact, she had 2 men stop her on the street and insist that they give her phone number. And then she started dating, like, she said, I'm dating like 3 or 4 really amazing quality men. And then I checked in with her a couple weeks later. I said, how's it going? She said, oh my goodness, I've met the most amazing man. If it's not him, it's the closest thing yet. And then 2 weeks after that, I checked in, and she's like, he's insisting we're going to be exclusive, and I'm running out of reasons not to do it. So now she's with this great man. And so it was, and she just said, what I love is that a lot of times what her experience echoes my experience, which is that when you clear your hidden love blocks, it's not just about getting the partner. It's that the journey to getting the partner will no longer be this stressful thing.
That made me so happy when you said that, when you said somewhere in your bio, when it said easily attract, because I know for some people, like the fact that you said 100 dates, I think I would jump off a cliff before I would go on 100 dates. I do not want to go on 100 dates. Bungee jumping, not killing myself.
Right.
Bungee jumping.
Right.
Like that. But I can't imagine going out on 100 dates, and it just seems horrible. And I personally know a lot of professional women, lawyers and doctors and PhDs, and they have so many degrees, and it seems like the more degrees they have, the more single they are for some reason. It's really interesting. So the idea that you're talking about easily attract, how is that possible? The easy part.
Well, Deborah, I know that you know a lot of what we attract into our life is based on what we believe.
Yes.
Both consciously and unconsciously. And I've noticed that there is a pervading belief in our culture that if a woman is strong, if a woman is independent and successful, that men won't want her. And that's actually not the case. So I have been training and doing research with a company that's been studying men for 20 years. And actually what men say is that they want a strong and independent woman, but they want a strong and independent woman who will choose them to allow, they will allow the man to help them. They will allow themselves to be vulnerable to that man. So it's not that you're a high-powered, successful woman. Men actually find that a turn on. They actually think that's attractive. It's that a lot of times those women are so used to doing everything for themselves. They're so used to being in charge. They're so used to doing it all themselves. They don't even realize that they're not
being their own cars, man. We're doing plumbing. I said we fix our cars. We're doing plumbing work. We're running businesses. We're doing it all, right?
Women can do anything, and it doesn't really matter what you let the men help you with. But you know, men really deeply want to contribute. If they care about a woman, if they are, you know, enchanted by a woman, they very deeply need and want to contribute to her life. And I noticed a lot of women don't even realize it, but they're not being receptive to the efforts of the men. And then the men feel rejected and they go on to someone else. And then the woman says, oh, it's because I intimidated him with my success. Well, I'm not saying that never happens, but what I think it more often is that the man's not feeling received by the woman. So then he decides,
the woman not being vulnerable enough to say, can you help me? Are we supposed to make things up that we need help with? Or
it can even be as simple if I said to you, can I help you with those groceries? And you're like, no, I got them. It's like, to a man may very well experience that as rejection. Like, oh, I'm not needed. She doesn't need me for anything. Why am I here? I want to be needed. Why am I even here? Why am I here? Right? So that's one of the reasons. But so there's definitely, you know, there's 2 things that I think are really important for people who are looking to attract the love of their lives easily. Because ease is the key word. I know you're all about ease and grace.
I love it. I love the ease and grace program. It makes me
happy. I know you do. So one is understanding the opposite sex better and knowing what motivates them, what inspires them, knowing how to speak in their language, right? So that's one thing. But the other thing is going back to what we were saying about those hidden love blocks. You know, a lot of times successful women, I find, will also have an unconscious belief that they can't have a career in a man. I had that belief. I had a belief, a hidden love block, that I couldn't have a career and a man, which is so funny to me now. I mean, Rich couldn't be more supportive of our business and what we're doing. I mean, he's just, you know, he's always there helping out. He's always, you know, God knows he fixes my computer, you know, helps me out with technology and you know, and he lets me blab on and on about my creative ideas, and, you know, he supports me when I'm having a freak out, and, you know, all these kinds of things. And he loves that I have ambition. He loves that I am keyed into my purpose in the world. It excites him and interests him, intrigues him that I have a purpose more than, you know, just, you know, nothing, if that makes sense. So, so that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about the love you as you are part, because I think everybody could or has had at some point in their life something that they think that makes them unlovable, right? Mm-hmm. And what I can say about that is, it may to some people, but to the person that you're supposed to be with, it's not going to be a problem. It's going to work. They might even find it cute or adorable, right? They might even find it to be an asset. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew that me? Go ahead.
And that was a question that ran through my mind before, and I felt like other people were having this question, because you mentioned something. You said that, you know, when you meet your soulmate, things that were difficult are just easy and flow. And I was just wondering your perspective on whether you thought that we had one soulmate, and, you know, are we preparing ourselves to find that one person and that kind of thing?
Yeah. This is a question I pondered at length earlier in the year. I'll tell you, when I was manifesting my soulmate, I don't believe that there's only one soulmate for us. I believe we have different types of soulmates. You know, I think that some of my ex-boyfriends were what I consider to be karmic soulmates, and what they were there for was we had a contract that we were going to meet, and they were going to be part of my growth, meaning we had a lot of synchronicity, and the relationships at some points were, you know, painful, some more than others, but there was tremendous growth that happened because of the relationship. It's almost like they were a catalyst for my growth. So that's one type of soulmate. But the kind of soulmate that I like to help people find is what I call a life journey partner. And that's the kind of person who is going to be your partner for your purpose, right? So my definition of soulmate, I started to get into this earlier, but for me, a soulmate are two people who come together to provide a gift to the world, meaning they have a purpose together. I'll give you an example. When I first met Rich, we knew within a week we were going to be helping people find love. We just knew it. It was just like, of course we're going to be doing this. It was obvious to us. And then we started doing our love workshop together. And so I knew very early on that, yes, he was, you know, I thought he was attractive, and he was smart, and he was fun, all these great qualities. I liked his energy. I could be myself around him, but I also felt like this is the guy who can support me and be with me, and I get to be in my purpose. And I felt, to me, that's my definition of soulmate. It's not, I don't believe, I mean, just to make sure that we're clear here, I do at times call myself the soulmate realist, because it's not that it's butterflies and roses all the time, okay? You put two humans in a room, we have egos, we have wounds, we have triggers, things come up. What's different about a soulmate partnership, in my opinion, is that's the person that you can work through those things pretty quickly and easily. It's not going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. You're not going to separate for, weeks at a time. And maybe some people do because they have growth to go on. But in my opinion, it's the person that you're going to either naturally be able to work through things better, or the person that's going to inspire you to learn whatever you need to so that you can work through things better. Does that make sense?
I was losing you a little bit, but maybe because I had watched this video by Matt Kahn on twin flames and soulmates.
Yeah.
And so I have a different idea in my mind. He was talking about like twin flames were like the people you come together and it's fast and it's passionate and you learn a lesson and then it's over and you're like, what happened? That was my soulmate. And it's like, and then you have another twin flame and the soulmate was like what you were saying. It was like the easy and you're on purpose, and it may not be the hottest passion, but it's something that it's expansive and it's loving and it's good. And it just echoed the same thing that you were saying. And I think maybe a different word for it than easy is more the grace. It's like the things that were so difficult before are not as difficult with that person. I remember I was married for 11 years and it was just like so much harmony and so much balance, and it was such an anchor. It was such a great experience for me because I really felt like what you were saying, that being supported. And I think that there's a possibility and a potential, I really do, for everyone listening, that there's someone out there, whether it's one person forever in eternity, I don't know. Who's to say, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, I'm really glad you're bringing this up because, you and I run in a lot of the same circles and are around a lot of the same, teachers and literature. And I was really curious about twin flames. I only even heard about twin flames a couple of years before I met Rich, and I was like, is that a real thing? And I was kind of reading a lot about it, and what I noticed about it for me was that while I was dating, it stressed me out because every person was like, "Are you my twin flame? Are you my twin flame?" Instead of just kind of like, "Are you?" Instead of just,
"Are you my mother? Are you my mother?"
Right, exactly. So I decided to. I actually agree very much with Matt, what you were telling me about Matt Kahn. And I think for me, I get the semantics of twin flames for me cause me stress. So I just like to use the word soulmate. And I do think there are different types of soulmates. I mean, you could have a soulmate that's a friend, a lifelong friend, and they're your soul sister, that kind of soulmate. The kind of partnership that I coach people for is their life journey partner, the person that they're meant to fulfill their deepest purpose with. And, you could have more than one. I think that there's people who, had a great partner and, they were widowed or even separated or divorced, and they fulfilled their journey, their contract together. And then, I think you could have more than one. And I think one of the great things about believing in more than one is that it takes us out of the scarcity mentality. It's like there's an abundance of love. There's an abundance of partners and joy. I mean, I don't want anyone else other than my husband. I love the synchronicity and alignment that we experience together. But if I were to pass away, I wouldn't want him to pine over me for the next 30 years, because, or 50 years or whatever, because I crossed over. I mean, he already went through that once. So, I think that here's actually what I think. I think what's important is what it means for the people listening. What does soulmate mean to you? My coaching is all about what do you want? And I do also believe that we manifest our beliefs, right? So if we believe in twin flames,
self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Absolutely. Don't you agree with that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, I look at in terms of, I know that you and I, again, have studied a lot of the same things. And I look at it in terms of when I was dating, the soulmate thing didn't bring me into a state of joy. It didn't bring me into a state of ease. And I'm sorry, not the soulmate thing, the twin flame thing kind of stressed me out. So I just said, you know what, I surrender. I know that the universe will bring me the partner I'm meant to be, whatever the label is, whatever the title is. I wasn't as concerned about titles as I was about the actual function and feeling of the relationship. Meaning I was much more concerned with, does it work? Does it bring me joy on a regular basis? Because, titles, we can get kind of caught up in these things. I encourage people to go more with, what does it feel like? what is it like to be with this person? Can you be yourself? You know, can you work through things with grace? You know, can you, and it will be easier. I do believe it will be easier with your soulmate, the love of your life, whatever you want to call it. Honestly, I get kind of annoyed with all the titles because everybody's got a different word for it, and everyone's going to have a different, but we know what it means. It's that person, the one person that you are, your one next person that you're going to be with, and you want to invest in, and not just, you know, you want to invest with and create something amazing with. Like, that's what I'm really about.
I think that's what's amazing about working with you, is that you support someone to co-create that. So instead of trying to fit your life and your desires into society definitions of what a relationship looks like, it's you're really asking the open-ended questions to get people to come up, what works with me? And I really want everyone out there to underline in your notes that you're taking tonight, how does it function and how does it feel? Because one thing I know from experience is you can have a lot of passion with someone and not be able to spend the weekend with them because you just don't get along, right? They have the TV up and you don't like TV, or they like sports and you like outdoors, or you know what I mean? So it's really important that you are clear as the person, whether you're male or female, what you are desiring in the function, and how does it feel? Does it feel light? Does it feel expansive? Does it feel joyful? Does it feel blissful? Does it feel ecstatic? What does it feel? And I think that's the part about having a coach, because I know for all of us, whether it's you're working on money or working on a relationship, you cannot do it alone. There's just too many blind spots. And, you know, we wanted to get to ask to you, because I know a lot of people are thinking about it, is, you know, what is the biggest mistake that single people are making out there, and how can you coach them to correct that?
Yeah, I thought about this one a lot too. I mean, everybody's such a unique individual expression of consciousness. And I find that there are 7 main problems that I see. And yeah, 7. And so what I did was I created a 7-step system to address each one of them. And so that's what I use with my clients, is this 7-step system where basically we're addressing each one of those one by one. But I guess if I were to, you know, you're giving me a megaphone, so to speak. And I think the thing that if I could change this one thing for people, I would feel like, you know, as Emerson would say, a life well lived, right? Would be that no matter how hopeless you might feel right now, no matter how frustrated, no matter how many failed relationships you might have had in the past, no matter how long it's been since you've been in a great relationship, no matter if you've never been in a great relationship, no matter if you've never even seen a great relationship, that the only thing holding you back from actually seeing it would be a lack of willingness to consider it's possible. Meaning that if you're willing to crack open the door that this is possible for you, I'd be willing to bet that you would already start to see evidence that a happy partnership, a happy conscious partnership is possible for you. Meaning I think a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot because they're looking so much at the past or their present instead of where they want to go. They're not looking at what they want, they're looking at how things are. And what happens is whatever you focus on, as you know, you get more of. And so if I could say, like, the biggest mistake is don't look at where you are, look at what you want, because there is magic and power when you bring your full focus and your full attention to what you want, and you're willing to say, this is what I want for myself. Do you remember, Deborah, when I wrote on Facebook before I moved in West LA, I said, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I'm moving to West LA.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Do you remember that?
Come to my world. Come to my world. You need to be here. Because I remember you were driving from the Valley to come to work in West LA. And I'm like, oh, God, 4 or 5, no way.
And I always felt like West LA was my home. Ever since I was in high school, I always wanted to live in Venice. And I always wanted to live in West LA. And I have to tell you, when I wrote that, Deborah, it made no sense, girl, because I was on the verge of bankruptcy. And I don't know how many of your listeners know about LA, but I think most of the people that live in LA know that on average, the West LA is pricier than the Valley. There was no logic whatsoever in there. It was, I had found my alignment. I had found my clarity on what I wanted. and I was willing to consider that the universe is more powerful than my negative voices in my head.
Amen, sister.
Amen. I was willing to consider that, you know, God, universe, Jesus, Buddha, mystery universe, whatever you want to call it, nature, science. I hear a gazillion variations. If you think there's a lot of variations on soulmate, oh my gosh, the higher powers, I have like a whole collection of them, right? And so I was just willing to consider that the universe could bring me that if I could get out of my own way. And so the one mistake I would say, like if I could correct one mistake for these people listening, it's be willing to consider that even though you don't know how it's going to happen right now, you don't know the how, it can happen. It can. And one thing I want to say about that is I was thinking about, you know, how can I help these people feel hope if they have been beaten down by dating? How can I help them feel hope? And I thought about it, and I realized that nobody was born alongside their soulmate. Maybe not nobody. Maybe there was like some weird incident where two people were actually born, you know, the baby was born and their soulmate was somehow there. But for like 99.9% of people that are with their soulmates right now, they were not born knowing this person. Now, some of them might have gotten lucky and met this person in junior high. Some of them might have gotten pretty lucky, met them in high school or college, maybe some in their 20s or 30s. Maybe there's people out there right now in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s that are like, yo, what's up? Where's my person? But here's the thing. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means you're on a different timeline. That's all. You're just on a different timeline. And what I mean by this is there's nothing that we were born having. You were not born a superstar TV host, amazing speaker, efficient coach, marketing guru. You were not born that. You came into that out of desire, out of intention.
I was in the womb like, hey, mom, let me out.
I don't doubt that, actually, Deborah. I'd be like, she's like, come on, I got a TV show to do. Get out, let me out of here. That's so funny. I could actually see you doing that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, meaning like everything that we have, we all have something. And whatever we have, it came to us through the process of life. So I encourage people to just know that just because it hasn't happened yet, doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Doesn't mean that it can't happen.
That is such like a profound thing. Again, highlight, underline, tweet, tell a girlfriend, tell a guy friend, because what you're saying, I'm just going to repeat it so that they can get it both on a conscious and subconscious level, that it's not about focusing on what is right now, because what I know and what you know and what is true is right now is based on the collective consciousness of the past. What we're doing right now, in this moment, in a second, right now, is we're co-creating through our thought, switching to the channel of possibility of what could be. One of the things I was doing on my earlier show was doing, remember the Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks?
Of course.
They have the exercise, wouldn't it be nice if? So
yeah.
People can be in the realm of possibility of, wouldn't it be nice if I was with my partner? Wouldn't it be, instead of dwelling on, oh, that darn X or that darn this or that darn that, or it's like, no, that was past. Even 5 minutes ago is the past. To really commit is what I hear you saying, to resetting to the possibility and even believing in your belief in what's possible. Right?
Exactly.
That's why we have you as a coach. We don't need to even believe it ourselves because it hasn't maybe happened in our experience. But if we know it's happened to you and you believe it could happen for us, then we can live in that place of potential.
So yes, I'm so glad you brought this up. So everybody watching, if you're not feeling it right now, you can borrow my confidence for you. Borrow it. I have enough for all of you. So thank you for that. And I wanted to go back to what you were saying about, wouldn't it be nice if, you want to learn a ninja level of that? I'm sure you probably know it, but so Rich and I play Won't It Be Nice When? Won't it be nice when?
I really like that. That's better.
Won't it be nice when?
The upgraded version of wouldn't it be nice if? Wouldn't it be nice when this happens? Because it's the certainty of when, not if. If implies doubt, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah. So you can start with wouldn't it be nice if it's your belief level isn't that high, and then you work towards won't it be nice when. When you can say that with conviction, then you know you're in the realm of being aligned with what you want. right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's really the biggest thing is at some point, at some point during my process, I just committed to being happy. I said, you know what? Happiness is a choice. I am choosing to be happy. I don't know what that means. I don't know all the details, but I'm committing to being happy. And soon after that, I got really clear that I wanted to move to West LA. And what's funny, Deborah, is I don't know if you know this, but right before I met Rich, I had I found the perfect apartment. It was like the dream apartment in West LA, and it was like walking distance to my work. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I applied for the apartment and I got turned down. I've never gotten turned down for an apartment before, and I did not understand it. I could not figure out logically. I was like, I don't understand why I got turned down for this. I put this out there. I found it. It seemed aligned. It seemed perfect. And a week later, I met Rich. And if I had gotten that apartment, I would have been in a year lease, and we wouldn't have been able to move in together so quickly. So the universe knew what I wanted. And so what was amazing was I had all these intentions. I wanted to meet my partner. I wanted to have some financial relief so I could start getting my coaching certification, because I already knew that I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to live in West LA. And what happened was I just kept working on, how can I appreciate each day? How can I love myself more? How can I be in the moment? How can I trust that everything's going to work out? And I would just work on that and work on that. Every day I created all these rituals that I now coach people in. I have like rituals of how you can get there, how you can get to that place. And what was great is when I met Rich, it was like this big tipping point, because now I have the man, and then he's like wanting me to live with him in West LA,
You're like, oh, darn, I guess I'll have to.
Yeah, exactly. And, it was like after 4 months, I kept coming up. I ran out of reasons not to do it, but it all worked out. Obviously, we're married, happily married. So.
Wow. And it's so interesting because we met and everything you intended came to fruition. But one of the things Jen keeps saying, which I want everyone to hear and everyone to listen, because there's a lot of analytical people out there, is do not worry about the how, right? So it's not your job, your role or responsibility. You keep hearing Jen surrendering the how. The other thing that you just said before I get to the next question, I promise I'll get to the next question, is you talked about self-love. And I think that's really important, because one of the things you mentioned at the beginning was you took a 6-month break. And during that 6-month break, was that when you were practicing self-love? And what does self-love mean? What does it look like? And why is that important in dating?
Good question. So one of my coaches told me the universe is our mirror. The universe is our mirror. The way we treat ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves, becomes the way that other people treat us. So if you're not taking care of yourself.
Deep, girl, that's deep. Say it again, say it again.
The universe is our mirror. So the way that we treat ourselves, right? So whether we're, beating ourselves up, berating ourselves, criticizing ourselves, or we're treating ourselves like a precious child, becomes the way that other people treat us. Because as you know, there's collective consciousness, and there's also mirror neurons. And it's amazing how we attract what we're being. We attract what we're being. So if we're being self-loving, it's easy for people to love us. Haven't you ever been around somebody and you don't even know why they're so magnetic, and you're just like, I just love you, and usually those are the people that love themselves actively. And then other people, you're like, well, gosh, you're really nice and everything, and maybe you love them on like the spiritual level, but you have a hard time. It's harder to be around them, right? There's just like, you can only handle it for so many minutes, right? We all know these people that you love them, but you're like, okay, and a little break after a while. And what I've observed is that you're picking up on their unconscious thoughts. Thoughts are thought form, they're energy, they're thought form, so they're being projected. So even if you're not saying anything, if in your head you're going, God, I feel so fat today, and God, I never do anything right, and whatever, that's creating an energy. Thoughts create energy, right? They create chemical reactions, they create energy. The person you're with is picking up on that energy, right? Now, on the other hand, if you're thinking thoughts of, I choose to accept myself, I choose to be gentle with myself, that's going to create an energy of love, an energy of love. And then the person that you're with gets to enjoy that. You know, I always ask Rich, partially because I love words of affirmation. I love compliments, but also as continued research for my clients, what was it about me, honey? What was it about me that you picked me? And he gives some adjectives, but he says, you know, it's mostly it was your energy. And I'm like, yeah, I worked for that energy. I worked on that, you know, but that's what I was working on, was noticing how my thoughts were affecting my mood. Noticing, you know, when I have this thought, does it feel good? Or do I feel worse about myself? Do I feel supported by my own thoughts? Am I treating myself the way I would treat my best friend? Am I treating myself the way that I would treat a small child? And if not, then I would reevaluate if it was really serving me or not. It was hard. I mean, let me tell you, you know, I did Louise Hay's mirror work, you know, where you look in the mirror and you say, I love you, I really love you. And when I first read that, I was like, of course I could do that. Of course I love myself. Oh my goodness. I could not do it at first. I would get in the mirror and I was like, I can't do this. I just could not do it. And then over time, I was able to. Now I'm like, I love you so much. Now I get to the place where, you know, not every day, but I have these moments. And the thing about self-love, though, like the thing I really want to say about, though, is it's easy to love ourselves when we're having a good day and we look cute and, you know, we've been working out, right? You know, it's easy to love ourselves. But the most important time to love yourself is when you've got a big pimple and maybe you didn't succeed quite the way you wanted to at something, or maybe you just had a breakup. I mean, that's when you have the opportunity to really love yourself, right? Because love isn't conditional. Love isn't when you look cute and are at your perfect weight. Love is, no, I accept you as you are. And so if you want to find the kind of person, if you want to attract somebody who will love you as you are, then start with yourself.
It's so good, girl. It's like, why do we eat kale and spinach? So we can radiate that light out. So what we put in, we get out. And it's the same with our thoughts, because we cannot fake the funk, is what you're trying to say.
We cannot what?
Fake the funk.
It's kind of hard, you know. I mean, we can do it for a little while, but I got to tell you, it's, you know, as somebody who faked it for a long time, trying to pretend I was way more together than I was, it's a lot of energy, you know. And to anybody out there who's feeling like, well, but I'm not feeling confident, you know, what I want to say is then the work for you would be learning to just be authentic and accept yourself in the moment as is. Right? It's like, okay, so you're not perky and super happy all the time, you know, but just consciously be willing to accept yourself as is. And if you do that enough, eventually you're going to attract somebody else who reflects that self-acceptance back to you, and they will accept you as is. You know, some of my ex-boyfriends, bless their souls, I know they were my teachers, they were very critical of me. But that's because I was being critical of me. They were just mirroring back to me my own thoughts. It's a mirror. You know, we're all one. There's only one mind. So they're just reflecting it back to me, right? And then, you know, it's interesting, even in my relationship now, from day to day, I can notice it change. You know, if I'm nitpicking on myself, it's not quite as easy and graceful. But if I, once again, step back into that choice of self-love, oh, he's just so yummy and loving. But he's just reflecting my own energy back to me. And that's the good news, is that we have the power within ourselves.
Great news. It's great news, because we can control that. And that's why it's so important, I believe, a practice of meditation, or like you said, mirror work, so that we can be conscious of what we're unconscious of.
Exactly. And there's other tools I use that are like, I've been really fortunate to be trained in some tools that like go straight to the root cause in like a matter of minutes, you know, but you can start with those for sure. And, you know, the thing is the thing about this is that I really got from my transformative experience with you and the other coaches is that the world is not happening to me. I'm not a victim. It's not happening to me. It's happening from me. Mm-hmm. The energy that I'm putting out, I'm getting back, usually amplified. Sit on that one for a minute, right? So if you're beating yourself up, you might be attracting a partner who will just be right in alignment with how you treat yourself. You know, it's really important to love yourself. If you want to find a great mate, it's like one of the top 5 things you need to do, in my opinion. So.
Oh my God, I could talk to you forever. Our time is up. I'm going to invite, I know you guys love Jen, all of you that have been listening out there. I'm going to invite her back to our show just to talk about social media and texting and internet and online dating, because I think that's a whole show in itself, don't you think?
I think we could probably, yeah, that's a big topic these days.
Exactly. And I know that you're so fascinating and you're so insightful.
Aww.
And we're on the same channel and same alignment. So that's probably why I'm like, you're so fascinating. Because you think like I think, and it's like, but you have so much because you focus and your information, just your expertise in this area. I think it's such a great service in the world. And I want everyone, the whole intention of Transformational Tuesday is for people to be able to experience love, joy, happiness, abundance, prosperity, and to know that that is their divine birthright. And I know that I'm not the expert in all of these topics. And so to bring someone like you that can really enlighten people on specific and very, very practical tools that you've given us, how can they get more from you and stay in touch with you?
So thank you for asking. So my website is consciousdatingandrelating.com. And so I'll say it again, it's consciousdatingandrelating.com. And if you go there, you can download the free report, which is 7 steps to manifesting your beloved. There's even more tips in there about how to become a magnet for your soulmate and attract the love of your life. So I encourage you to reach out there. And I'll also, if you sign up for the report, you'll also get notifications of other events I'm doing in Los Angeles